Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, he is an Olympic champion, a world champion, an NCAA All-American, previously competing for the University of Notre Dame, and now he is residing in Austin, Texas, competing for the University of Texas. He is the newest Longhorn and is sure to add to what will be a very, very exciting men's NCAA championships later this year. We are sitting down with Chris Guiliano. Chris, thanks so much for being here. How's it going?
Thanks for the warm welcome. Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well today.
This episode of the SwimSwam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, SwimSwam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. Yeah, absolutely. I got to see you, I guess, just a week or two ago at the Eddie Reese Texas Showdown. I think it was your first home meet as a Longhorn, which what an exciting one. But you know, as we were talking about on deck, you've had quite the whirlwind last year. You've gone through a lot of change and a lot of just new experiences in swimming, and I'm sure in your own personal life. So just first off, you've been in Austin for a few months now. How has the transition been to Austin and to the Texas team so far for you?
Yeah, so I got down here December 23rd, right after Worlds, took a final, finished up a paper, watched the Notre Dame playoff game, and then loaded up my car and drove down here with my mom. And it's been really great. Integrating with the team really well. I'm still adapting to the style of training that Bob and Trevor have to offer. I'm kind of split between those two right now. And, it's been an adjustment. It's been an adjustment for sure. But life outside of swimming too, it's been really cool to get to see some live music and do all sorts of things, down here and everything that Texas has to offer.
Absolutely. I mean, I lived in Austin for 7 years. I love it there. It is like my second home. What live music have you seen so far, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, there was just like this little performance going on one night. I went to dinner with my parents and a family friend. So that was good to see. I don't know the name, but one fun fact, or I guess sad fact, is I've never been to a concert either. So I know there's plenty of those down here.
There certainly are. And that's one thing that's great about Austin. You go out to dinner and half the time there is some band playing in the corner, and they're usually pretty dang good.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it down there. Can you tell me, I got to film one of the workouts that you were participating in, which was a pretty boring practice, honestly. I think it'll be a fun video, but can you tell me a little bit more about adjusting to training with Bob, with Trevor, and the Texas men? Especially, you've been there just over a month at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you didn't get too much footage of me during that practice. That was a rough one. I was cramping up a little too much, but yeah, it's the body of work that we do, like the main sets, I feel like are pretty similar to what I'm used to. There is like a little more aerobic capacity there, and the volume is definitely much more. But in terms of like the main differences that I've been able to see are the difference in like rest intervals between sets. Just like keeping that like keeping that rhythm and flow through practice. Like one thing I was astounded by was the other day we cranked out like 4K in like 45 minutes. And I was like, wow, like that was, we were flowing through that pretty well. So Bob and Trevor and Eric, they really emphasize a lot of warm up and cool down, which sometimes can be the hardest part of practice is making some of those cool down intervals. But it's been a nice change of pace to go from Bob's group in the afternoon and Trevor's group in the mornings and stuff like that. So it's been a nice mixture.
Mm-hmm. Is Trevor's group I guess the shorter end of the spectrum in terms of yardage and the reps you're doing?
Yeah. So like getting more power work, racks, towers, stuff like that. I do that kind of stuff with Trevor. I think like Bob's group, they do something similar. Like I think they throw that in there at some point too throughout practice. But yeah, more power focused and strength based.
Mm-hmm. Okay, nice. So 1 month in, seems like training is going well. Competition wise, you've swam at at SMU, and then you swam against ASU, Virginia, and NC State in Austin, and then I believe you hosted A&M this past weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you haven't missed a beat in terms of racing. You're throwing down 40-point relay splits, 41 flat starts in the 100 free, 18s. I mean, it's like, it seems like you're in a good place racing wise. How do you feel like you've been able to maintain or even grow that aspect of yourself as an athlete?
Yeah, one thing I was kind of worried about last semester heading into short course worlds was like my lack of race conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of like missing those dual meets and that 50 100 back to back there in like that dual meet setting, like and just kind of missing that like get up and go try and race somebody. So that was definitely nice being able to come back and try to get that conditioning back as we head into the postseason here. That the SMU meet, I felt really fresh. That was the best I've ever felt during that back-to-back with that 20-minute break in between. I think I felt it a little more the other day against A&M, but the the energy and atmosphere against ASU, Virginia, and NC State, like that was the best dual meet atmosphere I've been a part of. So that was really fun to be a part of, and just go out there and try to race it with some fast competition.
Yeah. Do you feel like that meet in particular gave you anything else aside from just those racing reps? I mean, that meet, like you said, unlike any other dual meet I've ever been to, it felt to me like it did a good job mimicking a championship meet atmosphere, which you'll see soon enough, not only with NCAAs but with SECs, which will be Texas's first time competing in that meet ever.
Yeah, it's great to be part of that kind of goal to go out there and win SECs in our first year. I think that'd be really really solid, and just be a part of this like championship grind. It's it's kind of newer to me and like something like we're in it to win it. So it's just like being part of like this team environment where we'll have a full squad going. It's going to be new. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Is that something that you guys have spoken about much? I guess as a team with the coaches, or just as a team with just the athletes, of actually having goals for a team placing at the SECs?
I think we all just kind of know in the back of our minds, like we're going to go out there, try to do our job and execute. And if we all do that, I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly going to be an exciting meet. I can't wait to watch conference championships this year, especially with all the realignments and changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go back a little bit now. So it seems like things are going well at Texas, but I'm guessing 7 or 8 months ago you didn't see yourself at Texas. You were at Olympic trials. You made the Olympic team in 3 different events. And then I think the entire swimming community kind of got hit with the news that the Notre Dame men's team was getting suspended for 1 year. Can you take us through your reaction to that? I guess if you saw this coming and what your perspective on that suspension was.
Yeah, so right after Olympic trials, I was coming off the highest of highs. Such a great meet. I was rolling. I felt like nothing could really tear me down. And then 2 days later, on my birthday, actually, it was June 25th.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We had like an emergency Zoom meeting, and nobody really knew what it was about at this point. Some guys on the team, like, they're like, oh, maybe it's like a surprise birthday party for Chris, or something like that. But no, it was really difficult to hear the news that we were originally being investigated, because on that Zoom meeting, we were given 0 details about what it was, and that just kind of left us all stunned and left to speculate what it could be, and nobody could really put a finger on it. That was a really, really tough transition period for me, because from that day, from June 25th, I left on July 2nd to go to Raleigh for training camp. And, that week I really could have spent some time getting some great work at home before leaving for camp. And I just was not in the right headspace. That goes for one of my teammates as well, who represented another country, and even Coach Lindauer. It was just a tough experience in that kind of middle ground there. I remember there was one practice we were doing like 200 pace, and I was going like 29s long course. Like I just couldn't get moving.
Yeah. So the June 25th was when you were told that you all were being investigated.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And so then when did this affect, how did this affect your Olympic experience?
I tried to push it. I tried to flush it out as fast as possible. So we had to go through like an interview process. Like all the guys, and I believe the women also went through like an interview process, just discussing like our culture and about the gambling investigation. And so we went in there, and we discussed all these things like traditions and team events, and we tried to like put some context into it, and like what these mean to us, and how this has helped us in some ways. And at the end of the interview, we had to, I don't want to say had to, but it was encouraged that we hand over our phones for a screening of our phone. And many of us felt threatened by this, because we felt threatened by this because they said that we wouldn't be in like good standing with the university, and they would label us as like non-compliant to the investigation if we didn't hand over our phones for the screening. So like specifically, they wanted to go over like the group me. They wanted to go over like Venmo and iMessage history.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was in there for about probably 3 hours, and then they ended up telling me I had like my phone had like technical difficulties or something like that. So I had to go back the next morning, hand over my phone again, do that whole process over because I was on a time crunch. Because I left I think I did that interview on like June 30th. So, I was trying to get that done as soon as possible just to kind of, flush that from my head. But it definitely weighed on me as, up until we found out what it was about. Or I guess at that point we kind of knew through like the whole interview process. But up until like the announcement of what our penalty would be, it definitely weighed on me more than I would have liked it to.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like you were able to still perform the way you wanted to in Paris?
I wouldn't say that was like the leading factor to why I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to. I think Paris it presented me with some difficulties and learning experiences. Like I know I was pretty off of what I went at trials, and I don't really know, can't really pinpoint what went wrong in like the training in between there, or what happened. But I just didn't. I felt like I didn't really have my easy speed at the Olympics. I think we could see that in like the 200 or something like that. Now I went out really fast in the 4x1 relay, so I mean it felt pretty good there. But yeah, something just didn't really feel right with my easy speed and like getting out like the way I usually do.
Yeah. I mean, even if, yeah, I think in a situation like that, even if you're able to perhaps put something out of your mind, it seems like it could probably still weigh on you significantly, even if it is subconsciously. But I think that adds important context to it was also your first Olympic Games. Do you go ahead?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say yeah, like there was definitely some like swimming. It's as much mental as it is physical. I think we see that all over the world and how the mental game affects us as athletes. So
Absolutely. I mean, do you feel like you came away from Paris with knowledge, with takeaways, or just with a deeper understanding of being that mentally stable athlete at that level?
yeah, I'd say so. I think my experiences at 2023 Worlds,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped me in my preparation, and just kind of getting my first international trip under my belt and being able to, pick and choose like, hey, like I think I could have been better in this area, like my rest and recovery. I think I'm gonna apply it here, heading like at the Olympics. Like so having those experiences kind of help me preparing for the meet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you get through the Olympics. You when did you get home from Paris? Do you remember?
Like August 7th, August
Mm-hmm.
7th, August 8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I think it's announced about a week later that
Yep. August 15th.
a date I'm sure will be etched in your mind for a while. It was
Yep.
announced that the Notre Dame men's team was suspended for 1 year. So how did you guys have another Zoom? How were you presented with that information? And then what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, so we got a group me message, I believe, from from Chris, and we had an email. Like there was like an email saying we had an emergency Zoom meeting about 3 hours later at like 2 o'clock. And at this point, I was on the beach with all my friends. Like I took a little vacation with some of my best friends from home, and I don't even know what I was thinking from like 12 to 2, but I think I was just kind of I was on my phone like texting the guys, um, and then up until that point I was just like, there's really nothing I can do, so I just kind of went back. Like we were tossing the football around, like went for a little swim, just kind of tried to prepare myself for what we were about to learn.
Yeah. Um, so then, how did the meeting go, and how did you react to getting that information?
Yeah, it was very brief. It was like ripping the Band-Aid off. There wasn't really any sort of build-up. It was just our athletic director. He just kind of came in. Um, Him and some of like our university like administrators were on there, and they broke the news that we'd be suspended for the year, due to the gambling and the culture issues that they thought were an issue as well. So because both of those things coincided, they felt like that was the right move. And we have to respect their decision. They did what they thought was best for the program moving forward. So that was tough. Just talking through it afterwards with some of the guys. Like what are we gonna do? Like there were just so many questions being asked. My mind went straight to the incoming freshmen and the fifth years. I felt like we let those guys down, and me being a captain on the team last year, I felt like I failed, and I take responsibility for some of the things that went on. Like I mean, it was part of my job, like to keep that family together, and I felt like I didn't do that to the best of my abilities in some ways.
Yeah. Um, that's a lot to take in, I'm sure, as going into your senior year as well, right? Like this and coming off a lot of momentum from the summer. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, in terms of being a captain on the team, being a leader on the team, obviously you're not the only one, and I don't, the blame doesn't fall on your shoulders or on all leaders of shoulders. But in after receiving that news, after maybe digesting it, do you feel like there was wrongdoing, or do you feel like the gambling there the gambling and or culture issues that were implied were something that it's like, oh yes, we could have done this better, or reflecting or moving forward, we could make these adjustments as a team?
I mean, yeah, sure. It's like very. I mean, we went against the NCAA rules, like from that perspective. Like, I mean, there's really no denying that. Um, like the denominations, like really, I don't think there was anything more than like $5. I don't think it ruined the integrity of the sport. I don't think anybody was betting on themselves. I think from that perspective, we all just thought like, um, it was just kind of, I guess, motivation at that point. And, I feel like it's been very, very normalized. It's been very normalized in society these days. You see it advertised all over the place. And, I guess we didn't really feel like we were doing any wrong at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now yeah, I mean, obviously we thought like we were like, all right, like this would not be an issue moving forward. um, like group chat behavior, I guess, would have to like Honestly, to us, like, I mean, sure there were memes or something that was shared that wasn't, maybe it was too explicit for like one. I don't know. See, like the thing is, we don't really know the full story behind like how all of this came out. So if somebody in the group chat felt uncomfortable with what was going on, that's on us for not making sure everybody felt comfortable in that environment. No, I wish it would have been brought to our attention before it got to all of this from like a culture standpoint. Mm-hmm. But I felt like at least 99% of the team felt like we had a great bond together, and like we were okay with what was being shared, or like the communication between us was awesome. So
I really appreciate you sharing your insight, sharing these thoughts, and saying them the way that you did, because I didn't swim in college. I had a brother who swam in college, and I've been around several college teams. And when I saw when SwimSwam reported on there being an investigation and then ultimately there being a suspension, I think I had a similar reaction as you. I was a little confused. I didn't know you couldn't gamble in the NCAA. Now that I do, it makes sense why. But it seemed like a situation that might not be unique to the Notre Dame men's swim team. Not trying to justify anything, but hopefully, perhaps this was a wake-up call for other teams to pay a little more closer attention to their culture or the happenings of their teams. But I was on a similar page as you of, these things seem much more normal. Maybe they shouldn't be, and maybe it's a good thing that we can reflect on them now. But I was surprised as well that that just some of the things cited were cited. I think especially the small gamblings, right? Like for the $5 bets or the $10 bets on someone. And again, I see the issue with betting against your own team, but at the same time, it seems like that might not be unique.
Yeah. I mean, like, it wasn't like anything super official. Like, it was just made in the notes app, just kind of thrown together a little bit. And I will add here, because I think it is very important, because I've noticed, like, when these findings came out, that like what's some of the things that were being betted on. Like, I want to make it very clear, like, to my knowledge and to everyone I know, like, nobody ever bet on a girl crying. Like that was never. I think that was completely false. I don't remember seeing or hearing anything about that. I think one thing the coaches really instilled was like trying to create that family connection between us as a men's and women's team. That's one thing they really preached. And I'm sure there were some issues, like like in years past, but I think we were trending in the right direction. Is like being one unit and really embracing one another and lifting each other up. So
again, I appreciate you sharing that. And I just appreciate you coming on and giving us your perspective on the matter, because this is not a matter we got a lot of perspective on in terms of being able to talk to people about it, especially those on the team. So appreciate your honesty, Chris, on this topic. And just to segue into kind of the ripples of that, I know you told me you were doing singles this fall, but how did you spend your fall? Where were you training? What were you doing?
Yeah, so being one of the guys who didn't gamble on swimming, like I didn't place any sort of wager on any of the bets. There was about 7 or 8 of us who were found like outside of that. So we were able to kind of like try to reintegrate in some sort of way with the team. I mean, we had to go through multiple meetings through like the administrators, compliance, plenty of meetings with coaches. I know they gave us some sort of guidelines we had to kind of abide by, like through, maybe like a monitor chat with the coaches and just some other things. Like we had to like kind of, acknowledge like this will be how we move forward, and this is the first step back into trying to reintegrate. And it took longer than I was expecting. Like we kept being told like it's going to be this week, it's going to be next week, and then it just kind of got pushed down the line further and further. But I'm sure they had to take some certain precautions with all of this. Obviously reintegrating with the team would take, with the women's team and the freshman boys and the fifth years, the new fifth years, because they were all together. Those squads were together. Meanwhile, the 8 of us, we were trying to figure out a plan to keep swimming. So once we kind of went through all of that and we got that figured out, we ended up having like a little retreat style, I guess, with the women's team and some of the boys, just kind of explaining, not really explaining, but just kind of trying to come together as one again. And I think it took like maybe 2 more weeks after that until we finally came up with a plan. And so the 7 or 8 of us, we would swim in the mornings with either 1 or 2 coaches who, they took the time out of their morning to come in an hour early to come in and give us a workout. So that was, we were going from like 6 to 7 in the morning, or like 5:45 to 6:45. We'd be up and in the pool. And it was like that for maybe like a month and a half, from like mid-September to like the tail end of October. And then, everything was working out pretty well. So then we decided it was time to reintegrate with the freshman boys and the women and the fifth years. But at that point, I think our number from 7 or 8, we dwindled down to like 4 or 5. Just some people like either weren't, like they just weren't coming to practice, or they just decided to give it up as a whole, to focus on like academic goals and life outside of swimming. So
Sure. Wow. So when do you remember when it was that you actually integrated and started being able to train with the team?
No, I don't have the exact date, but I think it was like maybe like a week before Halloween.
Okay.
I think so.
So at this point, because I believe you posted your Texas commitment post November 6th. So at that point, were you looking at other schools, or were you planning to stay at Notre Dame?
Yeah, I forget when exactly I entered the portal. But yeah, I mean, I started having those conversations. One thing I wish we were able to reintegrate sooner, because, I think that would have put things into perspective. Like, okay, this is manageable to do at Notre Dame with the goals that I continue to have. like I wanted to feel it out for as long as I could before I made a decision.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, like that window was just a little too short for me to really gauge, um, what I wanted to do if I wanted to stay there.
And then ultimately, I'm guessing you spoke to at least 2 or 3 schools, but how did you come to decide on Texas?
Yeah, so on that final day, it did come down to staying at Notre Dame or coming to Texas. They had a really nice deal and plan in place for me. And one thing I really stressed and emphasized was having a legacy at Notre Dame. That's one thing when I originally committed, I always loved the university. I knew being a legendary student athlete at Notre Dame really holds some value, especially to me. In some ways, like I don't know. Some people might say I'm wrong about this, but I feel like it's a little tainted in some ways. And there was a part of me that thought I could, if I stayed, it'd be it'd be a nice story if I was able to, really restore the program within a year and bring it back to, a top 10, top 8 team that it could be. And, I thought really long and hard about that because I really thought that this whole process, I thought it's bigger than myself. Um, I was, I guess I was part of the problem and I was part of what went down. And part of that would be wanting to make it right, and staying. But I also grappled with the fact that with where I'm at in my career and how, coming off of the summer that I just had, and my goals to kind of be done with the NCAA in a way. I felt moving on was the best decision for me, and coming down to Texas and training with arguably the greatest coach of all time, with the greatest training group, in the world. I think that was really hard to pass up, and a lot of my decision came down to me wanting to go pro after this year, kind of regardless of everything that went on. And one thing that Chris really made a great pitch to keep me at ND. I would redshirt this year. I would still have 2 years or I'd still have my last year of eligibility, and that would already put us halfway through the quad, through 2028. And it was a great idea. It sounded great, but I think in several ways I was kind of ready to be done with the NCAA and really try to progress my career internationally in a sense and kind of get out of the NCAA structure.
Yeah. Uh, it makes sense that you'd want to. I think now, especially with where you're at in your career, right? It's like a pro career makes sense. You've already got a suit sponsorship in Speedo. Um, so, yeah, again, I appreciate getting this insight because you kind of never know what people are thinking or why they lean one way or the other. But yeah, so again, ultimately, you chose to go to Texas. You're doing your last year of eligibility in Austin. Can you tell me a little bit about your graduation plan and because you will still be getting your degree from Notre Dame?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm an economics major. I'm planning. I will finish that out. I believe like a C or greater for Notre Dame to like officially approve the classes. To get my degree and be able to walk at graduation. So what I'm taking, I'm in like a higher level econ elective, and then I'm in 2 gen eds. Like I only needed 8 credits to graduate from Notre Dame, um, which were the two gen eds and the econ class. So I'm glad we were able to find a way to like be able to graduate from there, only needing 8 credits. And the reason I'm really able to compete down here is because I needed to meet the 60% PTD as I was transferring. And I didn't get enough of my credits or something to transfer in here as an econ major. So I transferred in as a communications major just because I had more credits transfer over, and I was able to meet that 60%. And I'm taking a class I'm seeking a degree from the University of Texas in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so cool. Congratulations. I think I'm sure for you, it would have felt very odd to get a degree from the University of Texas after only taking a semester of classes there.
Yeah, I mean, 3.5 years at Notre Dame, it's, I wouldn't leave that place unless I knew I was getting my degree from there. So I'm glad we were able to make that work. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. It would feel a little weird, but just kind of putting 3.5 years of hard time into that. So,
yeah, just congrats that you do get to have your degree from Notre Dame. You'll get to walk with your classmates in the spring. I think that leads us into one of the most interesting storylines of this particular NCAA season, which is just so much movement. This is the last year of the COVID fifth year, and you see a lot of people kind of taking advantage of that, especially in the men's team race. You have former Longhorn Casper Corbeau back at Indiana. You have Matt King at Indiana for just a year. You have you at Texas for just this year. Cal brought in some crazy, Lucas Hinvo for a semester and Miwin Tomac I don't know how long Miwin will actually be there, but there's been some crazy things, and it's made everything very exciting in terms of the men's team race. I'm curious how much you've paid attention to that, and also just how much you have thought about that, or thought about NCAA's and your team actually being in a place where you could win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to ignore, everything that's been going on in this landscape. And I'm excited to get to race those guys. It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be an incredible team race. So it's, there's just so much talent moving around where it's like, it's kind of left everybody like, all right, like what's going to happen now? Like it's kind of shifting the rankings here and there. So yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to play a major role into the outcome of the NCAA title, and to be able to like go through that challenge and compete amongst the best. Like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is probably the most anticipated team race of all time.
I certainly in my lifetime, I'd say so. Yeah. I don't know if we've ever had a 3-team battle quite like this with, I mean, it really makes it feel like a professional sport in terms of pieces moving and impact players. When you came to Notre Dame, I'm curious if you ever saw yourself as the impact athlete and or legacy athlete that you have become in your time at both Notre Dame and now at Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was coming out of high school. I feel like I was rated pretty high. I thought at the time. I made the move to Notre Dame. I love everything about the school, the university, and obviously, that first year we had to undergo a whole new coaching change as well. So really, it hasn't been short of drama, I guess you could say, for my time. with Notre Dame. But I think I've continued to get better year in, year out. And I think seeing that gradual progress has really been awesome. And I think I made a huge leap in like my strength and like my body type. The first 2 years, especially at Notre Dame. And I saw success my freshman year. I think we finished like 23rd or something, I believe, at NCAA's. My sophomore year, we shot up to 18th. That's probably kind of when I broke out a little bit, with the ACC 2 free title, and then I had a pair of B finals that year. And then that the time in between my freshman and sophomore year, that coaching transition. I mean, like I love the coaching staff from my freshman year. I mean, but I think it was truly the best thing for us and in the trajectory of the Notre Dame program.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the national championships. It was in Irvine the summer of 2022, and Coach Cam, he was out there. He was our coach out there for that meet. And at that point, I was still taking 2 breaths in a long course 50. I think I went like 50 point in the 100 freestyle. Yeah, I don't even think I swam the 200 that meet. So Cam challenged me to go no breath for the first time, long course. I thought I was going to drown, but it's exactly what I needed. He learning like the race strategies for all 3 of those events. I think at the same meet, I went from like a 50.4 to like I time trialed and got like a 49.7. Just because, Cam made some adjustments to what I had to do and, how I swam the first 50. Like, I think in the actual event, I was out like 24.5 and back like 25.5 or something like that. So, things have changed in the way I swim these events. And, like I would say last year was really my first time training long course full time, and really putting an emphasis into that. And I think we've seen the leaps in my progression through that. And getting to work with Coach Chris, Joel, Cam, Kelsey, Josh, and Trevor. I think they're an awesome staff. They all bring something different. And they've helped me exponentially. So, I mean, I can't thank those guys enough.
What a path, what a journey. So I feel like we've covered the past of Chris Guiliano as well as the present. So moving forward, obviously it's going to be an exciting championship season with SECs and NCAAs. You're gonna walk at Notre Dame in May, get your degree. Do you have any plans from there moving forward, in terms of your pro career and where you will end up? Do you think you'll be in Austin? Do you think you'll go back to South Bend, or do you know?
Yeah, I think that's what went into my whole decision. I was talking to a couple programs that have that pro group, and I was just trying to find what the best fit for me would be. And I settled on Austin, Texas, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. I'm hoping all goes well. I'm really excited about what we're gonna be able to do together. As with my time down here, I think the current plan is to ride it out and really see how it goes. I'm really interested to see how taper goes. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see myself. I don't know, maybe later down the line, we'll see wherever life takes me. But right now, the plan is to stay down here in Austin.
Yeah, I mean, it's seemingly a good place to be. Just the other day, you were with Bob, and there was, I don't know, probably 20 20 or so athletes in the pool, maybe 22, and half of them were Olympians. It was fairly overwhelming for me just to like look out at the pool. And in terms of pros, you've got Shane Casas, Carson Foster. I think Reagan Smith is there. Maybe she wasn't there the day I was, but she was at the meet. Simone Manuel, Luke Hobson, I think, is about to join that pro group after he graduates in May. It's like this is a lot of firepower in one pool. Do you feel like specifically from that group you've observed or picked up anything? Because obviously you're familiar with them, you've been on teams with them, but you haven't maybe necessarily seen the way they move and go about their day to day.
Yeah, it's great getting to know all those guys more from than just like the little interactions on the trips and stuff. But it's tough. Like, I mean, I don't live with any of the guys. That anybody that you just mentioned, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely say, a couple things they do during practice and how they kind of go about like just kind of like handling like recovery and stuff like that, and kind of how they mentally approach each practice. I would say that's kind of helped me, take it one session at a time, one day at a time. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I really appreciate you coming on and laying it all out there and getting to catch up. I think this conversation has been long overdue, so thank you so much for making it happen.
I agree. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been awesome.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.